common complaints. They're always saying that when CBOs contact the media, that they haven't watched the program, if it's a TV program, or they haven't read the column or the newspaper or the magazine that is written by that media, and that's a really important thing to do. They also tell me that spokespersons aren't always available when they call, or the spokesperson from the organization has left, and so it's very important that you always have a key spokesperson that's readily accessible. Press releases or advisories. You send press releases and advisories on things that are not very newsworthy, like dinners and things like that, and you need to make sure that you have a specific angle. You don't return phone calls promptly when the media call, and the media often are on deadlines, so returning phone calls promptly is extremely important. Speaking to the wrong reporter is often a common complaint, so making sure you do your homework on that. You don't have any specific evidence to back up a story or a story angle, and so that's something that we in the public relations industry really try to do, is help with those angles. Press release has too much fluff or too much information. Make sure that you provide only the facts. So those are just some examples of some of the things that we've been hearing. So from a public relations angle, our responsibility is trying to make the job easier for the folks that are here, because they are extremely busy. They get 300, 400, 500 emails a day, and it's important for us to help you, help corporations, hone down those messages, come up with the right angles, provide the right evidence so that they can do their jobs better.
Your information should be very self-explanatory. It should tell me basically the 5 W's of the age: who, what, when, what, how. If you're having a barbecue, just think about what would you put on an invitation invite to a barbecue. First of all, look at a calendar. One of the biggest problems I have is that people don't get their dates right. Okay, today is Saturday, April 26th. I had press releases coming in yesterday that said Saturday, April 28th. Okay, that means I have to call you to find out, is your event Saturday or is it Monday? They also put, my event's at Descanso Gardens. Okay, Descanso Gardens, I know that's over there about the 2 and the 210. Did you give me an address? Did you give me a city that it is? Most of the time I know where most of the stuff is, just because I've lived here my entire life.
Or where in Descanso Gardens?
Yeah, where in Descanso Gardens. But things that I'm working with people that may not have been born and raised here, they don't know where it is. And you almost can't either look it up on a Thomas guide or punch it into a GPS. So I need to know a physical address as well as a city locator. People don't do that. Also, give me a way that I can contact you to let me know, or how I can check with you to find out if your event is on Saturday or Sunday. Just because we're in the email age doesn't mean that we do everything by email, because sometimes a phone call goes so much further than an email. And don't put your home telephone number on there, because no one's ever home. We're in the media business, we're business is 24/7. So give me a number for yourself or someone else that I can call that can answer questions for me. And look at that one else too. Don't be most people up to look at their cell phone number and never check the messages. Pagers are good too if you're responsive to a pager. Emails are helpful, but they're not the bottom line. They are not the gospel. Don't send anything fancy. White paper is fine, or a plain background is fine. Don't send me like 3 colors animation. The hardest things I get to have backgrounds on them. When people fax something with a background, it's muddy in the back. It's hard to read. If you send me an email, it's harder to reproduce, or it's harder for me to cut and paste. Also, when you do this, make sure your event's not on the same day as something else. If you're and a lot of it can't be helped because a lot of things are just naturally planned that way. It's an annual event, or the board of directors works out this way, or we're doing an event for kids and it works out that way.
We just say what you do and why we should care. The thing that works is, we both want a good story. I mean, if you want to figure out what gets in the paper, I mean, if it's a good story, it's a good story. We'll take it. And so we have something called the Torrance test. It's if you're in, I live in Glendale. If I write a story, I ask myself, why would someone in Torrance care? If I'm writing a story out of Pasadena or something like So you really have to identify the stories that sort of go beyond the local level, something that speaks to the region. Something that someone in Torrance, for example, would care about, because they may experience this issue soon or something like that. And so you really have to develop news judgment, and that's a really tough thing to do. It's something that we as journalists, I think, are constantly improving on. Every day you gain with experience. But by being consumers, by reading as much as you can, you sort of get a general idea of what is a story and what isn't. So think big.